So, welcome to Elevate Thursdays. Today we are chatting about, are you in self-acceptance of your ego? Of your ego. So often when we talk about self-acceptance, we're talking about everything else but the ego. And I see this as a problem with spiritual entrepreneurs in particular, because they have an idea that the ego is bad and the ego is wrong. Now, we are going to dive into this topic because it is really important to be able to step into a place of self-acceptance of your ego, because this affects your business success. So let's dive right in. One of the first mistakes that people make when they're trying to do self-acceptance work, right? And I know that you're not new to this. You're not newbies. You've heard about self-acceptance. You've heard about how important it is. You've probably been working on it for years. But one of the things I see with spiritual entrepreneurs, as I said before, is that they are viewing the ego as bad. Okay, so one of the first mistakes people make with self-acceptance work, which is really, really important for business success, we'll get to that in the end of this live, so hang in there, is they're really viewing the ego as a bad thing, right? So they're like, I must transcend the ego. I've got to get beyond the ego. Now, we're going to dive into why this isn't the case, why this will never be the case, and if you're doing this, how this is going to hold you back from really creating success in your business, okay? So that is one of the mistakes that I see people do when they are doing self-acceptance work. They're really rejecting the ego, yeah? They are seeing the ego as bad, and it leads them to reject the ego. Aloha to those who are joining me live. Hi to those who are joining me on Instagram, Facebook, and those who are watching the replay. Hello, beautiful. I'm not sure who you are. Please let me know who you are. So, rejecting the ego. Obviously, if you're doing any kind of rejection, right, you're thinking that the ego is bad. You're thinking that fear is bad, which is a generation generated from the ego. If you think that anything associated with the ego is bad, you are in the place of rejection, which of course is not self-acceptance, right? So now you've already unraveled what you've been trying to do, which is completely accept every single part of yourself, right? As I said before, many spiritual, soulful entrepreneurs fall into this trap because of old teachings in spirituality. And they lean on the idea that the ego is bad and therefore we have to get beyond it, right? And so they unconsciously reject the ego and think that it has no place in them creating the kind of business that they desire or creating business success. Now, I am not in that camp, as you can probably tell. I believe the ego has its place, and when we can accept it fully, it becomes an integral part to our business success. And we are talking about that as we go on in this live, so please hang in there till the end. Hello, Connie. Beautiful, gorgeous, lovely to see you. Hello, those for joining me on Instagram and Facebook and the replay. Drop me questions as we go along. Yeah, so don't be shy. I love lots of comments. And if I don't get to them straight away in this live, I will come back and answer your questions. All right. So, are you fully in self-acceptance of your ego? Yeah. How do you know if you're not doing this? Okay. When you are judging your fear to be wrong. Okay, so that is one of the indicators of knowing when you're not in self-acceptance of your ego, when you judge your fear as something that is wrong. When you judge any kind of emotion, and usually we judge really only the negative emotions. We don't generally judge the ones that make us feel really good, right? So if you are judging any kind of the bad emotions or any of the emotions, and you're judging them as bad, you are in self-rejection of the ego. Yeah, you're not in self-acceptance. How else can you know if you're not accepting your ego? If you have dreams and desires and you're labeling those things as bad, Yeah, I shouldn't have those dreams and desires. I should be satisfied with what I have in my life. And there is some truth to that, but this is not part of what we're going to discuss today. Okay. If you're really judging your huge dreams of what you want to create in your life, yeah, because you're associating desire as something that is ego driven, and you have an idea that the ego is bad, and so you are rejecting that. Yeah, so those are 3 ways that you can tell if you are not in self-acceptance of your ego. You are judging your fear as bad. Yeah, you don't want to feel like, the fear is horrible, let's get away from it, right? You're judging any bad feelings as bad. So you're like, I need to be happy, right? All the time. And you're judging your dreams and desires. Like, you're not allowed to have them. So these are throwbacks from old spiritual teachings, which I believe it's time to move on from, okay? I grew up as a Christian. I went through so many different iterations of exploration with spirituality after leaving the church. And there always was some little thing there that was talking about the ego not being something that was desirable and not something that should be cultivated. As you can tell, I don't agree with that completely, okay? And we're going to get into that. So ask yourself, truly, for those who are watching live, for those who are watching the replay, leave me a comment. Are you in self-acceptance of your ego? Yes or no? So drop me a yes or a no. Yeah. Are you in full self-acceptance of your ego? Do you love it? That's something really controversial even to say, isn't it? That you're allowed to love your ego. Because they never, like, people jump to conclusions that if you're loving your ego, you're full of it and you're you're a narcissist. So even saying that, I know, will rub people the wrong way. Or maybe it is causing a paradigm shift for you where you're like, maybe I'm allowed to love that part of myself. And here's the secret, you actually are. You are allowed to love every single part of yourself, including your ego. Mind blown, yeah? Let me check some of these comments. What have we got here? Okay, I can't seem to see your comments. That's okay, no worries. So, why does this matter? Well, of course, what I've just talked about, it matters because if you're not in full self-acceptance of yourself, which includes accepting your ego, you're really in rejection. Okay, is that clear? That is totally clear, right? So when you reject or judge any part of yourself as bad, you're not in self-acceptance, and therefore the amount of how you are able to fully show up authentically in your business is affected. Can you see the relationship between that, right? If we are rejecting part of ourselves, there are part of ourselves that we do not like, that we judge. There are part of ourselves that we think that we have to keep hidden. So therefore we are in rejection of that. We're not in full acceptance. And that then feeds into this idea, or feeds into the energetics of us not being able to show up fully and authentically. Yeah. Because we cannot accept those parts of ourselves. And so we hide those parts of ourselves, right? When we aren't in acceptance of parts of ourselves, we hide them. That is just natural, right? We are ashamed of them. We feel guilty for those parts of ourselves. And so we do everything we can to not show that part of ourselves. So obviously, if you're doing this, if you're not in full acceptance of every single thing that you are, that you have been, that you will be, including what your ego is doing, you're not going to be able to show up as authentically as you wish to. That is a truth, okay? There is no getting around that one. You cannot show up authentically and fully if you are not in 100% self-acceptance, including the acceptance of your ego. Welcome to those who are joining in live. Make sure that you catch the start of the replay because it will make sense. For those catching the replay, hashtag replay, drop me your comments, your ahas as you're going through, and any questions that you might have as we go along. So self-acceptance is needed. It is necessary to fully show up in your business authentically. If you aren't doing that, if you are half in with self-acceptance, you will be faking it somewhat. Yeah, there will be parts of you that are faking it. So it is really important for your business success, especially if authenticity, integrity are part of your value system for how you're building your soulful business. It is really important that you drop into this, what we're talking about today, this full self-acceptance, not only of the shadows, not only of all that stuff, but of your ego. And what your ego is all about is desires, is dreams, yeah, is patting on the back, yeah, your self-power, your drive, your motivation. Those are all really beautiful things that your ego brings to the table. Yeah. So when we can do that, when we can fully accept the ego as part of all of our work that we do on self-acceptance, yeah, for me, it's a work in progress, and I'm sure it's a work in progress for you too. When we can accept the ego as well, then we can start to accept and value our dreams. We can accept and value our desires. They're no longer bad. Yeah, we're allowed to desire more for our life. Yeah. We can accept and love our emotions. Yeah. So the bad ones, the ones that don't necessarily feel good, we can still love them, which allows us to move through them quicker. Yeah. We can accept and love our fear because we can see that that is an expression of the ego that only wants to keep us safe. Yeah, our ego is all about keeping us safe. And so when we can see the ego like that and we can fully accept it and we're like, oh, wow, the ego has my back. My ego has my back. Yeah, it wants to keep me safe. It also has dreams and desires. It's a pretty good cheerleader there, yeah? So when we can accept our ego completely as part of all of our self-acceptance work, then we are able to fully show up in our business. Yeah, there's no parts of us hiding anymore. We are clear on what we desire. We're clear on what we dream of. We are clear on what is holding us back, and that's cool. Yeah, that's a place where we can lean into and learn from and step into and start to rise above. Yeah, but we're not in the place of rejecting it. Yeah, you're not important. I don't want to listen to you. When we reject ourselves in any kind of way, including the rejection of the ego, we split our energy. We tell ourselves that we are wrong. Now, for those of you who are very much into thought, mind work, yeah, and even energetics, and even if you're not, listen to this. What do you think happens when there is part of you that is saying you're wrong? Part of you saying to the other part of you that that is wrong. You're wrong, you're not accepted, you're bad, you're not allowed to like that, you're not allowed to have that, I don't want you in my life. What kind of energy are you creating within yourself? And do you think that that is going to help you to be successful in your business? No, it's not. It is not going to help you. If you are in rejection of your ego, you are rejecting part of yourself that is actually really important for you to cultivate a healthy ego to help you to create your dreams and goals and your soul's mission through your business. Yeah. So self-acceptance is needed to fully show up, to fully step in to what it is that you desire to create in your business. Self-acceptance of the ego is needed. So when you are able to do this, you allow your ego to support your soul's missions and your business dreams. And this is where I believe the rightful place of the ego is. Yeah, it's not a thing that is bad that should be rejected. In fact, I just don't think that we can. We're humans, unless we're going to be monks, like sitting on a sitting in a cave meditating. We will have the ego with us, and that is fine. And we can use the ego, who wants to keep us safe, but also has these beautiful dreams and desires, and has this self will and self power behind it. Yeah, healthy ego feels really powerful. When we can cultivate a really healthy ego, we can allow it to take its rightful place, which is to support our soul's mission and business dreams. Is this dropping in for you? Drop me a yes if you are following along and you're like, oh my goodness, yes. Yay, yay for the yeses. Yeah. If there are any questions, please let me know. So when you can accept your ego just as it is right now, yeah, when there's no rejection of it, no rejection of the manifestations of the ego, some of the bad, the things that we label bad from the ego, yeah, we can then move through our emotions quicker, the ones that don't serve us so well. We can really hang on to and love our dreams and desires, which allows us to elevate ourselves in our business. And our ego starts to feel really loved. And what happens when something feels really loved? It generally works for you. Yeah. It starts to want to help you. And so our ego, when it is fully accepted and fully loved, is then becomes your biggest cheerleader, your biggest support towards your soul's mission and business dreams. It will understand when it needs to get out of the way because of its limitations, right? And it will willingly do that because it hasn't been rejected, because you haven't told it to shut up and to get out of the way and just move because my soul has to lead me, right? Your ego gets to be your like closest confidant. Your healthy ego gets to be your closest confidant and your biggest supporter to what it is that you truly want to make and create through your soul-led business, yeah? I.e., create your soul's mission through your soul-led business. All right, lovelies, I am wrapping up. If there are no more questions, I will come back to this live and see if you've dropped anything in. What have been your ahas? What has been your biggest aha from today's Elevate Thursday? Now, Elevate Thursdays are on every Thursday, 11 a.m. NZT. You can catch all of the replays in my private Facebook group, The Soul-Led Business Revolution. Now, if you're interested in really getting a handle of all of this self-acceptance piece and you're ready to step into the biggest, into the realizations of your business dreams, yeah, and success on your terms, then I would invite you to send me a DM and let's hop on a chat to chat more about my signature program, The Journey. It's a 12-month signature program. And it is designed to support you not only in the practicals, but most importantly, in the mindset and energetics that are needed for you to create success on your terms, including this really lovely play that we get between cultivating a healthy ego and having our business be soul-led. So let me know if you're interested in that. Just send me a DM and we can chat more about what that involves. Now, for those of you who love a bit of home play, right? I never leave you on these lives like with nothing to do afterwards. I want you to integrate this. So take this with you through this week. Your home play for this week, if you choose to play, is notice when you are rejecting your ego. Notice the thoughts that come up. Notice what you are doing to yourself and ask yourself, what would I do if I was loving towards it? What thought would I say? What would I act like? Yeah. And you're going to start unraveling how you are not accepting your ego. And you're going to start to step into full acceptance of all of you, including that beautiful ego that is actually there to help support you in your business dreams. Alrighty, lots of love. We'll catch you again, same time, 11 a.m. NZT on the Soul Led Business Revolution or on Instagram. For now, I will leave you. Please drop me any questions that you have, and I look forward to seeing what your big ahas were on today.